Now I want to attempt to measure out the amount of sunscreen. So I'm doing this so that you won't have to. I tried using a medicine dropper, which turned out to be a failure. Even though it had the precise measurements here, it just wouldn't come out of the medicine dropper. So this, because of the consistency of it, this is meant to be used for liquids and water, and the sunscreens are thicker than that. And you can see visually the measurements here. So this is 1 milliliter, and if we are to use half of this amount, that would be our recommended daily sunscreen amount. By measuring with the index finger, it's just where the line of your finger hits is about 1 milliliter. So just about that amount, that area. Instead, I thought, okay, let's use a measuring cup. So this cup is meant for supplements like protein powders, and this is 5 milliliters here, the lowest line. So if I measure up to 5, because knowing that half of it will stay in the container once I start scooping it out, I think we should have a good representation of the right amount of sunscreen that we can use on our face. So I'm going to start by kind of shaking up my sunscreen, and this one's almost done, but it was one of my favorites last year in 2021, and I'm going to fill it up to the lowest line here. There we have 5 milliliters, and then I'm going to start scooping this out onto my hand to show you. So that's about half of that amount, and it comes out to this much on my hand. The more liquidy and serum-like the sunscreen is, you want to actually use more. So that would be the amount that covers my face each time I apply sunscreen. And this one is very, very watery. So does it look like about the same size as a loonie? If this was a cream type texture, I would use a loonie amount, but I'm using a lot more than the 0.7 milliliters. And then afterwards, I would just pat it onto my face. Since I'm already wearing sunscreen, I won't do it now, but like just to show you, I think it does work out to 2 fingers full, just about. So I think that would be a good measure to cover your entire face, neck, and your ears. So then by using this amount, you can imagine yourself going through a bottle of sunscreen, which is pretty small. It's about the size of my hand, most of them. And generally they are 50 milliliters. So this one is 50, this one is 50, this one is 70. But if we are doing the math properly at 0.7 grams, it converts to 0.5 milliliters, and we have a 50 milliliter bottle. We should be using this up every 100 days. But if we are reapplying it more than once a day, then I would say closer to about 50 days or 60 days. So let's say 3 months, you should be replenishing your sunscreen bottles. Now, I myself, before doing this math, I realized that I'm hanging on to them longer than I should. So a bottle of sunscreen usually lasts me about 4 months or 5 months. Because I believe in making use of what you have, I used to really focus on saving the good stuff. But with sunscreens, because they're active and you want the SPF and the PA pluses to be really fresh, it does lose its efficacy over time, especially when it's open, because we're constantly open and closing the bottles. It will oxidize and would lose its power over time. It's kind of like battery life, like the longer you use it, the more it'll run out. So with SPFs, you want to be able to open them and then use them consistently every day, and then change it up every 3 months. So I'm going to practice this in the upcoming summer months, because I'm going to be extra diligent about the amount of sunscreen and also how often I replenish a new bottle. Sunscreen is one of those things that if you are comfortable with it, you're going to love it and enjoy putting it on. It's also a check and a way of making sure that all the work that we do at nighttime and during the winter to erase our hyperpigmentation and dark spots and really get that glow, it helps us to keep that glow over time. So be sure to be diligent with your sunscreen. And I hope that this video gave you some insight despite the messy chemistry. I hope that it also gave you a little bit of an easier way to measure how much is the right amount. Until next time, see you with better skin.